seems to change.
Let's get going. I think I already spoke about both these artists. Both had a really strong showing on day one and comprehensively won their battles. This is going to be a long one because this battle, if you don't know, turns out very controversial. So, I'm frozen again. This is the benefit of using an iPhone camera. Give it a second. Now it looks like I'm crying. Okay, we're back. Yeah. I will not be saying too much from here on out. We know what's going on. It's the semifinals. It's super important. There's a lot at stake. And both of these guys clearly showed their talent on the first day. Nothing else to say. Let's start with the first round.
Go first. You already know what to do. Right here, live and direct. I say the 3, you say the 2, and the 1. 3!
Playground again, no imagine.
Thank you for the dono, man. This texture is very nice. Okay, and then you go up with the octave. I like when people do this, right? So it's a rather simple chord progression. You have like the dum dum dum, like very, but you switch it up in, like, you make a section A and a section B, where it's like it's the same chord progression, but you switch the voicing to add some alternate feeling. This is, you know, just, it's like the small details again. It's just like you have this, and then just adds more feeling to it. A little bit of reverb on it. So at this point, I know the track, right? It's the, well, I don't know the name of the original, but it's like the Ziz song. You know, if you guys have seen the workout videos, things, like, it's like pretty similar to that. Great way to start out, by the way. It's like, you know, you get quickly into it, you just hype up the crowd. I like it, I dig it.
You can do anything you want in your life. As long as you have the vision and you don't let go of it, you can make the decision now to become the best fucking version of yourself. But don't think that decision comes around hardship, struggle, or pain. Endless hours of mindless obsession, being laughed at and criticized for trying to be better than everyone else around.
I kind of like the speech. It's kind of sick. I rate it. It's not very commonly done. The thing I would say is that when he's reintroducing, okay, I'm frozen again, bear with me. I'm still gonna start talking. Like, when you reintroduce the, like, you take off the filter, it kind of gets drowned out a little bit.
To reach our true potential is the reason we exist. Sacrifices for the future temptations we must resist. You know you must be better, so you know you must resist. Your time is now.
Also, shout out to Strong Zero. I only just noticed that was there.
To become a legend.
You know, already at this moment, I know exactly what he's gonna do. Like, this is, like the moment he took off the hoodie, I'm like, all right, okay, cool, bro. I'm in absolute disbelief at this point in time, as you can probably see. Yaswede does a lot of things. This is not one of the things I was expecting. But, like, weirdly, it's kind of sick. Like, I don't know. I don't hate it at all. It's, like, you know, he's into the whole fitness thing. he just wants to showcase that. Like, fair fucks, bro. Like, just do your thing. I like it. And with the auto loop, like, he matches the timing and the performance really well. Like, he manages to get the timing, like, on point, more or less, which there is a small delay from what you hear on stage to what you hear in the crowd. So it's actually, it's cool. Did you paint your headphones? No, these are headphones. Like, this was given to me by SBX. Mix-wise as well, I should probably say, like, the mix is actually pretty solid. Yeah, it's... I have to say, like, the complete filtering out without any transition, I know this is probably the only option he really had. I think there was something you could have done here that would have been more interesting than just, like... And it's something I notice a lot of loopers doing is, like, when you want to go into the next drop, you take the filter and you go, wow. And then that's, you know, your indication that you're going to start building it up again. It's not necessarily bad. It's just, especially at this level, you can do more. Does that make sense? Like... It's not necessarily a lazy choice. It's just, sometimes it's the easy choice. Okay, the tempo switch.
To reach your true potential is the reason we exist. Sacrificing for the future.
Yeah, okay. That's a bit of a sudden one.
True potential is the reason we exist. Sacrificing for the future.
This actually doesn't sound too bad right now, but in the venue, this was a lot of noise. No offense to anyone who enjoyed it or whatever, but it was... I missed a lot of clarity in this section that I had in the first part, and I think it's because of the tempo switch, which kind of messes up the audio files a little bit. So, I mean, like, the principle of the idea is not bad. It's more so the transition into it and the cleanliness of it, which I think it's okay here, but in the venue it sounded quite muddy, to be honest.
Its time is now to become a legend.
Sick. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can say about this round, right? First of all, the performance. Yes, that's the word. The performance itself is on point, yeah? Like, this is, like, the confidence to do this, first of all, is sick. And the mix-wise, the first section was really, really good. It does kind of go a bit downhill for me from that point onwards. The transition into it could have been cleaner. And I think especially when you're battling someone like Dice, where every single little thing is well thought and well put out, it is something you notice. Little bit too much distortion for my taste. Distortion is a very good thing. You should see how much distortion I use in my own projects. But it's very important that you are precise with distortion. You can't just smack on distortion on anything and call it a day. Especially in this case right here. Like, especially in this kind of, like, mid-region, like, a lot of harmonics, a lot of the harmonics don't really come through. Well, they come through, but there's too many harmonics. And basically, if you guys are wondering, harmonics, like, when you distort something, what you're doing is you're creating harmonics, basically, especially in the upper region. So if you're distorting, like melodies and low end especially, it'll create additional frequencies. So when you distort two things, especially like a melody on top of a bass line where there's like notes that don't necessarily harmonically work well together, you create a lot of noise. And it's not too present here, but I remember in the moment you also see my reaction of a bit like, whoosh. It's a bit much. But it's that's a detail. It's a detail, but it also did matter. I did remember thinking that. So yeah, just a general tip for you guys. When you're using distortions, like, use it on very simple things. You can use a lot of distortion, but don't use a lot of distortion on many things at once. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's the main points I want to talk about in this round. I think everything else was solid. The drums were solid. It's just that second part that we're lacking a few like things of finesse, I think is the right word.
Now,
Time. Yaswede with round one. Taking notes from Kenny Urban. All right, we're gonna get into the next round right here.
Yeah.
Round one, it's coming on. The sound is good for you.
But I want to use distortion on a lot of stuff. Then go ahead, man. Feel free to do it. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you what to do if I'm judging.
Yep.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Just
10K
looking at
happened quick.
Christoph, thumbs up.
So, yeah, my kick will be louder. So,
That's a promise, everybody. Are you ready for Dice? Dice, round one, coming at you live and direct. I say the set, you say the doll and the Hana. In set!
やめてください.
Okay. The classic. Oh. Nice kick. Really cool melody. Oh, and then he takes the attack down, or the release down. Good snare. Yeah, this is really cool. Hi, Vokoda. Man, Dice is so clean with it. Like, that's something I really have to admire, is like the frequencies, especially when you compare it with Yaswede. Yaswede definitely has more impact and punch in his drums, but like the shakers are so like nice and airy. The snares, like, it's got some weight, but it's still like super clean. The kick was also nice, less punchy than Yaswede's for sure, like less body, but just nice to listen to. Shout out to Zero. Okay.
Make some noise, Japan!
Yeah.
Kento Nanami.
That's
Switch.
nice. I really like this part. If I had to make a critique right now, this is more of like a time issue. Because you're seeing the same thing as me. Oh, I mean, you can't fully see it, but this says 49, if you couldn't tell. A round is typically 330. So someone can do the math, but I'm pretty sure that 330 divided by 2 is 145. Which means, you know, it still feels like we're not having the full build-up, and we're halfway through the round, you know? That's something I noticed, especially when you compare it to Yaswede, where it felt like we got very quickly into it and it starts hitting. Not necessarily an issue, but it's a risky game to play. You understand me? Because you are under time constraints. So if you want to build all these layers, you really have to, like, now you really have to start hitting. Does that make sense?
Yaswede on my left side, thinking about the win, but he just couldn't cause Yaswede on my left side, thinking about the win, but he just couldn't cause Oh, you'll be thinking like Dice is an artist. Hashtag beatbox, a little bit of looping. I'ma make the scene brighter than worse. Cause I can bet I rack it on the wheezy, rock the gravy, a train, catch me, got the places. Practice all the latest, huh? On my ways, on my ways, on my ways. Yeah, I like to hit you on like diggy diggy. I take the wrong step back for the force I need to kill. Yaswede君がケントな波顔を見たら七海の親父
I can't really talk much about the rap itself because I'm not claiming to be an expert on rap, but the beat itself is really sick, and I like how he takes more and more out. So, you know, you got the full beat here.
On my ways, on my ways, on my ways. Yeah, I like to hit you on like this.
Takes out the bass.
I take the wrong step back for the force I need to kill. Yaswede
Takes out the whole thing.
君がケントな波顔を見たら七海の親
And then adds like a little ad lib at the end.
父 You can all grab
Brings the whole thing back in. And as you can see, I also really enjoyed that in the moment.
this way. You can all grab it that way. You can all grab it this way, that way, this way. Just choose one side, bro. You can all grab it this way.
And you hear the chorus is still happening, right? And this is what I mean when I say like the finesse of Dice is really strong compared to the finesse of Yaswede, like the attention to detail, where like Yaswede is very like constant and like then something new happens, at least in this case. Whereas with Dice, it's like at the end of every section, you know, he changes a little bit of a thing, changes the vocal preset, you know, just like takes out a shaker, does whatever. Oh shit, Freddy beats, hey man. And this is a point where I'm like, that is a very clear like attention to detail point that Dice wins. At the same time, for a beatbox battle, it now says 54 seconds. And I'm a bit concerned in like, how are you gonna finalize this whole thing? Because it feels like if we're on like a character arc, it feels like we're still building a little bit. If maybe for you guys it doesn't, for me it felt that way, and for me it still feels that way.
You can all grab it that way. You can all grab it this way, that way, this way. Just choose one side, bro. Bring it back. Yaswede君本当に眠たいなあマジで本当にほんまに眠たいな
Sick. There's a lot to like about this round. There's really a lot to like about this round. And let's break it all down. The mix is excellent. I feel in this last part the sub could be a little bit, the low end is maybe a bit high in the pitch. Yeah, so the sub is actually at 160 hertz. And then it goes down. Okay, so it's a one thing with this. Minor detail again. That wasn't an issue before. It was just this specific low end that I'm like, you know, it could have been a bit more like, you know, a bit more like low, I guess. The next section that I wanted to talk about is the use of time. I'm at this point in time, and I guess more so, like, I think I'll just bring the whole thing out here. It's like at this point in time, there's a lot going through my mind, and it certainly feels to me as the closest one-to-one round there's been in this competition so far, in the sense that Dice has a lot of strengths, and Yaswede's strengths are quite literally the opposite. Where Dice has the cleanliness, Yaswede has the power. Where Dice has the finesse, Yaswede has the use of time. Where Dice has the technique, Yaswede has the performance. Where Dice has the variety, Yaswede has the impact. So it's like it's a complete and entire separation, and it's almost 50-50 for me at this point. Because if I'm looking at it like at a scorecard, it's so even throughout everything. But there is a point that I have to make, and I think it's very important, which is that this is an original composition by Dice, and Yaswede's is not. Yaswede's, it's not like a direct one-to-one cover. He takes it in a very original way. That is for sure. But it is based on something where Dice's is a complete original from scratch composition. And maybe Dice does a little bit more to battle at this point as well. So right now it's like 55-45 Dice in my head. That's where we're lying. That's where we're around. It's not much, but it is there. And it's in his Dice. Now let's move on to the next. Hello, who are you? I am the guy on the judging panel who is now rewatching it.
We got a battle right here live and direct. Yaswede with the response. Are you good to go? You good to go? Christoph, good to go? Quick mic check.
Yeah. There's sound.
We're good to go. Christoph, give me the thumbs up. Back on Yaswede, round number 2. I say the 3, you say the tve, and the ein. 3!
Okay, so as you may know, my name is Yaswede, and this track is called All From The Mouth. I hope you like it.
Nice. You know, this might seem counterintuitive coming from the position I'm in, but I actually really dig when people use raw beatboxing sounds. I love it. And it's also sometimes why you hear in some of my GBB battle rounds, even the producer ones, I'm also using like the sound in parts. I'm also using like the, which is from like that's the Predator sound, like from that round. So I really dig when people do things that are beatboxed.
Hey, woo. I'ma do old school looping in this GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah, do old school looping in this GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah, do old school looping in this GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah, do old school looping in this GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah, do old school looping in this GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah, do old school looping in this GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah.
I actually really like this. Like it's such a breath of fresh air, you know. Yeah, of course the mix is not perfect, but this is a stylistic choice to do something like this, and in a beatboxing competition, I can't sit and be upset that the mixing is not perfect when you actually decide to properly beatbox. Of course, it doesn't have the impact that like full-on produced beatbox looping will have, but it's dope for what it is.
Old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no competition. Pretty good, let's go. Old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah, do old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah, do old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah, do old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah.
Honestly, Dice, you're not even worth my fucking time, so I'll go after the beautiful judges instead. So.
You know, at this point, I know exactly what he's gonna say about me. Like I just know. I know he's gonna say, "You won, producer. Why are you here?" And I'm gonna sit there and laugh, and it's gonna be fine. And he's probably saying the same thing about So-So.
Superstation mot skatten is on, yo. And the next in line there is Sorrow, to proceed to defend his GBB title. KBA knew he stood no chance, so we quit looping in advance. Congrats, bro.
That is true. Well, not the part that I didn't stand a chance, but I did quit looping in advance.
You want producer, so why are you in the judge panel judging all the loopers?
Because I got asked to, alright, bro? But it's funny. It is. I am laughing.
I got ice inside my veins, and Inky, you're just fucking strange. And you're beardy man, you're just a beardy man.
This was my favorite. Beardy Man wasn't actually mad about this, by the way. But like he's just, yeah, what you want to say about me? You know, like the classic UK thing.
You're just a beardy man. That's why I'ma do old school looping in this GBB, cause I got no competition.
And Sorrow didn't realize he got dissed. You know, he missed the part where. So Sorrow was sitting there. What, bro? Why you not diss me? What is this? That is my impression of Sorrow. It's like Sorrow can watch this back and he'll know it was a good impression of him. What is this, bro? You didn't diss me? What the fuck?
Old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah. Do old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no competition. Yeah.
Also, it's kind of a sick battle move to go after the judges.
Old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no competition. Sing way. Nice, sing whoa, oh, 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 oh. Pretty good, sing ooh, ah, Sing. Oh, bro, it's Robin calling. He's telling you to go back to the fucking military.
Great battle move. Excellent battle move.
No, Technotonic. Do old school looping in the GBB, cause I got no.
There's as you can see, I'm very happy with this round. And it's probably, to some people, it's probably a really surprise because you think, oh, this guy's a producer. He wants it to sound produced. Actually, my opinion is kind of that in the, and this is just my personal opinion, nobody has to care. I judge everything as much as I want, but I can really appreciate when loopers actually feel like it's being looped and it doesn't feel like it's just production on an MK2. So I really respect this round for that exact feeling, and also that, yeah, I just saw the comments, yeah, the techno drop then went on to hit really hard, and to be honest, probably hit harder than anything Dice had in his first round from an impact perspective. Does it have like the technique that Dice has? No, but what I'm sitting here thinking in my head right now, and was also thinking at the time, is that Dice probably couldn't do this the same way Yaswede could. I know Dice is a great solo beatboxer, but it's just like he doesn't have that skill set that Yaswede has in terms of like, maybe it's not even skill set, it's like a mentality thing. So he's scoring a lot of points here on like many good things. And yeah, it's a style that you can choose, and I think it's really, really effective.
And that's time.
Some loopers have 20 seconds left. How do you feel about this, especially when judging? I don't care, to be honest. I care if you have 20 seconds left and there's like a very clear part that was missing. Does that make sense? So like, if you rushed into the second drop and the build-up was underworked and you had 20 seconds left, then it's an issue. In this case, I didn't feel that to be the case. He had 20 seconds left. Also, he is within the time frame. So it's much it's actually fine. It's completely fine. I did not think about that.
We got a battle. Thumbs up from Christoph. Last round, we go to dice. Get behind and make
Yes,
that
we
energy
do.
go up. I say the set, you say the toll and the Hana. In set.
Doom tom. Great snare. Oh, that's a great snare. That's the best snare I've heard today. And probably also yesterday. This is sick, by the way. Little small details. You're watching an analysis. This is how it's going to be. I apologize. But listen. He takes the high end of a spit snare, layers it with like a resonance in that snare region, which gives it so much great thing to do. I'm glad he's doing it. You're doing it for, like, I do it in my productions, where it's like, you have the high end of a snare, and you also have the low end of a snare, which is actually just more or less a sine wave. And it's just something that makes your snare hit so much harder live. And trust me, you want your snares to hit hard live. Anyway, I digress. Just a great snare. Insane sound. Why, brother?
GBB. Now clap. Now clap. Now clap.
Ah! Ah, brother. Brother, this is nuts. This is actually cracked. He is insane. I'm gonna rewind this. Okay, compared to his first round, I love this build up so much more. And yes, it also takes some time, but it feels continuous. Like, it's constantly building. I'm intrigued at every single point. Do you know how Dice creates all his sounds? I can probably take a guess, but I can't give you the exact parameters. And the low end. Look at this. There is sub. And the is so nice. And then the phaser. It's quite slow for drum and bass. I don't even know if it would be considered drum and bass. I guess it kind of is, but it's like, it's quite slow. I would have liked this section to be a little bit different, but I'm not complaining that much. Nice. Adding layers on is nice though. I can respect that. And this is where it happens, right? Right. Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, Christoph. So,
Yeah, at this point, there's a lot going through my head, as you can probably imagine. This one is tough, and I guess this is what most of you want to hear about this battle, right? Let me just talk you through what I'm feeling in my head up until this point. When Dice drops this, for me, it's pretty clearly the best round I've heard so far. It slaps. In my head, I'm thinking Dice just needs to bring it home.
yeah, there was a but,
And then this happens.
and then I
And now I'm confused because
tried to press and it didn't work. So, I think. But it's okay, yeah.
so then Christoph walks up on stage and I'm sat to think, what do I do? Because at this point, I still don't know whether it's a technical issue or whether it's a human issue, human error. Haha, shout out Rage. And in my head, I'm already thinking that my decision on this battle, very much, if it's a bug and he finishes the round, and then it's a Dice win, probably.
Yes, so it's a very hard situation. We are not 100% sure, neither Dice and I, if it was a mistake. So in this situation...
And this is where it gets even worse. Because one thing is, you can make a decision when there is a clear, like, okay, either it's a technical issue or it's a human issue. It's still a tough decision to make, no doubt. But it gets even worse when nobody knows what's happening. And to add on top of that, we have this camera which is meant to showcase the loop in case like cheating or like a bug happens. And we didn't have the option to go back into the video and replay what happened. And I can understand now, also reading from the chat, that it was a bug. No, it was a hardware issue, right? So that it's not even a bug, it's the hardware of the loop itself that's broken. And this is also, even this is a gray area for me, and I'll talk about that afterwards. But
It's a mistake, but still hear the full round.
so nobody knows what's happening, and Christoph tells us that we need to consider it a mistake. So
Is
I
that okay with
consider
the
it a
judges?
mistake.
You understand what I'm saying? Take it as a mistake, but he will be able to repeat the round before the decision is made.
First over there, MB4, but
Do you guys want me to re-listen to the full thing, or should I just skip to the last section of
we're
the
going to get into this battle.
The last section of the
Dice,
track?
before we start, we're going to go and do a quick check. Make sure that you're comfortable. You good to go? All right. Before we start,
I think I'm gonna make the executive decision to just go into the. Here, I think it's fine. So it's at this point I make the decision that I know how I'm going to judge it. My feeling is, based on it being a mistake, that the way I will judge this is if the last section here of Dice genuinely is like the best section of if it was worth the wait to call it like this. Like if it exceeds the expectations of everything that we've heard, then I will give it to Dice. If it doesn't, I have to think.
Put your hands up!
And the issue that I have with this drop, and it's a small, but it's the most important part of any track in my opinion, and it's the snare. This snare worked excellently in the first part, but one, it's quieter here than the first time I heard it. And second of all, in a halftime drop, the snare is the most important thing. It needs to slam, and it doesn't. So now this doesn't really hit for me. And then he goes into this, which is cool.
Time.
So this is still for me the best round of the four, but I'm being told by Christoph that a mistake has been made. And like I said, if it was if that last section genuinely was the best part of the battle, I would have given it. But to be honest, it wasn't. So now I'm sat here thinking, okay, Dice for me has still the musicality, he still has more technical variety, and his mix is still better. But Yaswede's performance I enjoyed more. I think Yaswede does more for the battle itself, and I think his second round gives him so much freshness and uniqueness compared to his first round as well, which is also super fresh. Whereas I feel like Dice performs his tracks, and they're great, and they're really amazing. But there's something missing for the competition itself, where it kind of we're kind of missing something where especially if you don't complete your round, which is essentially what happened, then you can't just win off of the music alone. So at this point,
Station battle here tonight.
So at this point, we're getting told a bunch of things by Christoph, and I'm more confused than I've ever been about a judging decision I've had to make. But in the end, I make up my mind on like a very, very like simple performance principle, which is that if you fuck up, you keep going. Doesn't matter. And in this case, I guess Dice's round was very sequenced. And a mistake essentially means he couldn't finish a round. And it's unfortunate. It certainly is. I'm not trying to deny that. But if you're playing a concert, you know, that's the game. You know, people don't care if you're at a concert and you say, oh, well, fuck, I messed up, I'm going to do the entire thing again. So, like, out of sheer performance principle, I think Dice should have just tried to salvage whatever the hell he had left. In my opinion. You can make some pretty massive mistakes and get something out of it.
That's bad. Are you having a good Christoph of this movie? Go and tell me that we are.
So at this point, I made up my mind. I'm going to vote Yaswede. Because the number one principle as a performer is that you keep going. And it's despite what was otherwise a really close battle. And without the mistake, certainly I would have voted for Dice.
Are good to vote. The judges are good to vote. Once again, the winner of this moves on to the finals. I'm going to go and ask you judges. Once again, you're putting your hand up. Is there a problem, Sarah? All right.
But this is not an easy judge decision for anyone. I I just made a principle to vote on the idea of keeping of the show itself.
This is why you're in that tough position. It'll be a red if you want to vote for Dice. It'll be a blue for Yaswede. Red Dice, blue Yaswede. Moving on to the finals, GBB 25 right here live in direct in Tokyo. Going to our judges. Help me out now. I say the 3, y'all say the 2 and the 1. Crowd in 3.
So, as you can see, I'm the only one who voted Yaswede. My 3 lovely judges to the left, to the right, well, the left here, my right, all voted for Dice. And I don't know if you can tell, but I was a little bit confused.
3.
I'm a little bit like, oh, okay. What we don't see is then I turn to my left. So I'm basically right. I'm basically here, right? I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a bit surprised, you know, personally, because I figured to some extent it was a clear decision, but I can also get it in hindsight now why it wasn't. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, strange. And then I look to my left and I see Sosa voting overtime, and I'm sat there like, what the fuck? What's going on? I'm a bit confused, and I think
Moving on.
I think it's a language barrier where we were told not to vote overtime. It's definite, like this was for sure. It was clear. We had a judge meeting beforehand, and it was definitely. I remember for sure that SBX told us we couldn't vote overtime at any point. It says so in the rules as well. But I will say in Soso's defense, his English is not the best, and everything was told to us in English, and the judge rules are also in English. So, should he have known? In my opinion, yes, but it's not a big deal in the end because even without his vote, it's still a Dice win, as you can see. I feel a bit bad for Yaswede in this case, I have to say. Oh, as you can't see because you're watching my face. As you can see, it's a 3-1, essentially, right? I feel bad for Yaswede here. But I also know he didn't go in with the mentality of wanting to win. But it does feel like this should have been... I do still feel like it should have been a Yaswede win. But I will also say, and this is a point made by Sorrow, which says that in the rules it says that if you get to restart, like if there's a technical issue, you don't get to restart. And since DICE did get the option to restart, the mistake shouldn't be counted. So I see both points, because the rules say one thing, and Christoph told us another thing, and I guess it's actually a problem on the rules, because it was never actually mentioned in the rules what happens if you don't know whether it's a bug or it's a human error. So it's just all around not an easy decision to make. And I think with the replayable camera, it would have been obvious. We should have had VAR. That should have been the call. And then I guess it wouldn't have been counted as a bug. But at the same time, there is a point to be made. Yasui wanted to win. He said he doesn't really like that people think he's going for the troll. Yeah, okay. I mean, I still feel bad. I still think he should have won. Without the like, if we had seen what would have happened, it's a hardware issue, which is not a bug. To some extent, I do feel like you are also responsible for your own equipment. And this might be a hot take, but if your equipment is not functional, it's also kind of on you if something happens. Like if a fader is broken, or if your microphone is broken, and something happens with the microphone or the fader, it's still kind of your fault a little bit. And I know he tried to fix it, but I'm just saying from like the most objective standpoint, the equipment, you're responsible for your own equipment. It's stated very clearly. So it is tough. I think I would have still counted it as an error in my book. But it would have been harsh, but it's just the way it is. Why were you guys unable to rewatch the loop cam? Did they ever explain? So basically, to explain, I'm sitting next to Inky, and Inky Beardy Man have like the judge microphone. And I tell Inky, I'm like, yo, why don't we just rewatch the camera? And then he says it, out loud into the venue, and then nothing's ever done. We never get an answer, so we're just like, okay, cool. Nothing we can do. Yeah. But hindsight is 2020. I feel very clear and confident about my vote. To be honest, I would have voted the same now. And that's also with respect to the fact that I prefer Dice's tracks. So, yeah. A couple of things. It's a tough one. I'd actually like to hear your guys' opinions on this. I guess my most controversial opinion about anything, other than like Yaswede winning, is that I believe you're also responsible for your own equipment's functionality. And yeah. So I don't think button sensitivity, if you have button sensitivity, it's something you should prepare for. And at the very least, you should inform the referee about this situation. If you inform Christoph about the situation, like if I tell Christoph, like, hey, my cable's broken, I didn't get time to get a replacement, I just want to let you know in case something insane happens. More fair, definitely. But it does leave option to abuse the system as well. Basically, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that there is a lot of factors going into this, and we were also told some different things by Christoph, who, by the way, I want to say he did an excellent job, because there's quite literally no referee that would have solved this situation, and I think he found an option that was fair to everyone involved. SPX should know it, right? Because Dice asked for a loop station provided by SPX. Did he? Biscuit, yeah, exactly. As someone who's entered a loop comp with faulty equipment, it's a risk you take. If you do it, go for it, but you are setting yourself at a risk. And yeah. I think I can understand people that would say it's a bug. For me, it's, by the way, hey man, I hope you're doing good. For me, it's still a human error, to be honest. Especially something like button sensitivity. Like, I don't know the full depth of the situation, but I'm just imagining you could press the button again. And I guess this also comes back to the sequencing of the whole round. But again, that's also a risk you take. If you mispress a button, either way, I guess my point is that I am happy to vote Yaswede, even though I think Dice's rounds as a whole were better. But as a performer on a stage, it's just a game that you risk, and if you can't perform your rounds, then like music being performed poorly is never really as good as someone who puts on a good show with even like less good music. But yeah, that's my opinion. In the end, my vote didn't end up mattering. Oh shit, hey man, Simon, thank you very much for the donate. 40 euros. Am I reading that correct? Fucking hell, Simon. What a fucking legend. That is huge, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, big ups, bro. What would happen if, let's say, Inky voted for Yaswede and it would have been 2-2? I don't know, man. I just do the voting. You know, I just yap about mix and stuff. That's all I do. I guess they would have made so vote. You mentioned that you're not allowed to restart the round if there's a technical issue. No, you're allowed to restart if there's a technical issue. You're not allowed to restart if there's a human error. I'm just glad this happened in the semifinals. Either way, we got the chance to hear every performance of both artists. Yeah, I can see that. And in the end, both, yeah, exactly. I was going to say the exact same thing you said. And yeah, I don't disagree with anyone that says that Dice's rounds were better, because I also think so. But I just think there's more to a loop station battle than how good your songs are. It's about the game you play. It's about your performance. It's about your ability to control the crowd. It's about your ability to stand out besides just what the audio is. It's a visual performance as well, you know? That's why it's on a stage and not just MP3 versus MP3. Yep, I hope that clears up everything. I don't hate Dice moving on to the final though. I'm in some way I'm glad he did, because I can tell the effort he put in, and I still got to vote what I believed was the correct decision. 2 covers is crazy, but that's for a different topic. Yeah, the second round for me, yes, it's a cover. It's, well, to some extent, it's a cover. But at the same time, it's fresh. Originality doesn't always have to be about the musical touch. It can also be about the way you do something. And that for me is something where Yaswede really excelled, where despite doing a cover in the second round, he actually managed to make it really original. I can't fault the originality at all, because everything about it is something that I haven't heard, besides the fact that the ideas were inspired from something previous. So I actually kind of disagree. So for all the people that said Yaswede did 2 covers, that's my opinion on that. Originality isn't always about this. I mean, if you make that argument, is Dice's round, then Dice's second round also a cover because he has the Robin melody? Yeah. Simon, just want to say, fucking hell, that's massive. I really appreciate that, bro. It's so nice of you. Do we move on? Do we move on to the next semifinal?